It's a place where daylight fades early and winter nights are long and dark, where the sun seems reluctant to climb high in the sky and casts the land in perpetual twilight. Imagine a time when the sun dips below the horizon around 8 p.m., leaving behind a soft glow that clings to the sky for a few more stolen hours. After that, darkness descends and doesn't retreat for nearly 20 hours. It's a realm where the sun barely breaches the horizon, painting the sky with hues of perpetual dusk. If this sounds dramatic, it's because it is. And yet, this was the reality of Viking-age Scandinavia from 793 to 1066 CE, a world existing beneath an expansive tapestry of northern skies. Here, amidst rugged fjords, dense pine forests, and wind-swept longhouses, the Norse people lived under the expansive canopy of what we today call the midnight sun. But rather than just enduring it, they designed their lives around it. They crafted longhouses with thick walls that muffled sound and light, carefully banked fires to ward off the encroaching chill, and reveled in communal rituals as darkness fell. What emerges is a portrait of a society that not only thrived, but innovated in one of the darkest, most extreme environments in human history. The idea of the Viking as a relentless warrior, someone who strikes fear into coastal settlements from the British Isles to the shores of the Mediterranean, has captured popular imagination. Yet between their fearsome raids lay moments of profound repose. In these lulls, Norse families and crews wove rest into the very fabric of daily life, understanding that physical prowess on the battlefield demanded equal commitment to restorative slumber. For the Norse people, sleep wasn't just a third of their lives. It was a vital resource, demanding care, design, and social cooperation. When the sun dipped below the horizon around 8 p.m., plunging the landscape into an eerie half-light, the Norse people retreated indoors. It was here, within the sturdy embrace of their longhouses, that the daily drama of light and dark played out most intimately. These weren't grand halls, but modest structures made from earth, timber, and sea-sprayed stone, their interiors measuring roughly 45 meters by 10 meters. Within this space, layered turf walls insulated against gale and gloom, while narrow window slits, covered by oiled cloth or animal membrane, blocked stray moonlight. Crucial to this nocturnal haven was the hearth, positioned centrally in one wall. It served as much more than a source of warmth and light. It was the heart of the home, socially, ceremoniously, and even architecturally. Hearths designed with adjustable vents allowed villagers to bank embers low at bedtime, preserving warmth without illuminating the dark. As the sun's last light faded and shadows lengthened, the women would begin readying the house for the coming night. Oiled cloth or animal hide would be stretched over window slits to block the fading daylight. Fires would be banked low, keeping warmth in check until bedtime. In the dimming light, children would assist, carrying water from the well, gathering fuel from the yard, or helping mend fishing nets. Soon, with the daylight utterly surrendered to night, the central fire would crackle to life, casting dancing shadows that chased each other across the walls. Its flames, though muted in the vastness of the longhouse, offered a reassuring glow, repelling the damp chill that loved to seep in from the north. Around the hearth, on benches fashioned from rough planks or tree stumps, families and guests would gather for their late evening meal. These weren't feasts, but modest affairs featuring stewed grains like groat or the remnants of the day's catch, perhaps chunks of smoked fish or hearty venison soup, sipped from wooden bowls, warmed by glowing coals. Each dish was a testament to resourcefulness and the bounty of the land and sea. As the evening deepened, the youngest members of the household, nestled between elders, would listen intently as tales unfolded around them. Sagas of legendary heroes like Ragnar Lothbrok, or the myths of gods and giants, wove magic in the flickering firelight. With every turn of phrase, the boundaries of the longhouse stretched to encompass mythical lands, transforming everyday life into a tapestry of heroism and adventure. Meanwhile, older members of the community might engage in quieter pursuits, spinning wool or flax, carving runes, or mending sails. Their hands moved with practiced grace, finding solace in rhythmic repetition as their eyes followed the saga's unfolding. Occasionally, a lyre or simple wooden flute would weave its melody into the fabric of the night, harmonizing with the crackling fire and weaving a spell of tranquility. In this tableau of Nordic twilight, a sense of foreboding lingered just beyond the longhouse walls, while inside, safety and camaraderie prevailed. Outside, the elements raged or prowled, shaping a world both harsh and beautiful. Storms lashed the windows with icy rain or snow, howling winds clawed at the door, and ghostly whispers carried tales of the endless void beyond the firelight. Yet inside, laughter mingled with the crackle of firewood, forging an invisible shield of social cohesion that eased the mind into the night ahead. For the Norse people, sleep was not an inconvenience or a burden, nor was it something to be feared. Rather, it was seen as a natural cyclical necessity, an interlude for body, mind, and spirit to recharge before meeting the demands of another day. This perspective wasn't merely a philosophy. It was a way of life that demanded design, focus, and commitment. Their sleep revolution, if you will, didn't spring from technology, but from holistic living. This involved designing environments that embrace darkness, ritualizing practices to ease into rest, and reclaiming communal bonds that banished modern sleep anxiety. Their architecture was a testament to this. Longhouses weren't just shelters. They were sanctuaries of darkness. Thick turf walls, sometimes 60 centimeters deep, muffled sound and shielded against the glow of day. Narrow window slits, covered by oiled cloth or animal membrane, ensured that even moonlight was kept at bay. Hearths were designed to bank embers low, preserving warmth without unwanted illumination. Daily schedules, too, were attuned to nature's rhythms. Work began with dawn's first pale glow. Fishing crews rowed out to sea as skylight grew. Smiths forged tools by mid-morning, and farmers guided their plows by the sun's arc across the heavens. By late afternoon, activity tapered to quieter crafts. Spinning wool, carving runes, repairing sails, each task a prelude to the hearthside gathering that signaled the approach of sleep. Meals were timed to finish hours before bedding down. This not only allowed for active digestion, but also helped signal to the body that it was time to wind down. The choice of foods was no accident either. Fish, legumes, herring, salmon, oats, barley, each provided biochemical precursors for sleep-supporting hormones and neurotransmitters. But perhaps most crucial to the Norse approach to sleep was the role of community. Longhouses bustling during the day with crafts and chores, transformed into intimate spaces as darkness fell. Families and guests shared not just meals, but stories, laughter, and a profound sense of mutual support. The worries of the world outside faded with the light as inside. Bonds of kinship and camaraderie grew stronger in the flickering fire. Today, we often view sleep as an inconvenient necessity, something to be optimized, quantified, and scheduled. The Norse example challenges this perspective, inviting us to reimagine rest as a source of strength, creativity, and community. Their innovations in architecture, diet, and daily practice serve as a blueprint for crafting sanctuaries of darkness, embedding wind-down rituals into daily life, and reclaiming the communal bonds that foster restful living. Perhaps it's time we took a cue from the Vikings, not in their fearsome raiding, but in their quiet, ingenious approach to sleep. After all, as the Norse sagas and poems, like the Havamal so eloquently put it, the unwise man is ever awake, worrying through the night. When morning comes, his burdens remain unchanged. But he who sleeps securely, waking is refreshed, and cares are lighter. As the hearth's glow fades to coals and the longhouse settles into a hush, the Vikings are getting ready for bed, but not in the way you might think. They're about to embark on a sleep ritual almost unheard of in our modern world. Circadian cue. With the sun sinking below the frosted treetops, Norse bodies produce melatonin. The night signal, it prompts yawns and heavy lids. And around the same time, their animal companions seek their furs. It's a universal sign that it's time to rest. Ritualized wind down. Families extinguish the brighter lamps, wrap themselves in furs, and move to the tiered sleeping benches along the walls. There, they shed their outer garments, crawl in and pull the layered straw and wool blankets up to their chins. The straw and wool layers await, still warm from the day's hearth fire. Soon, the only sounds are the crackling fire, the murmur of voices, and the soft sigh of breaths. All is peaceful. Sleep descends. In the early hours before the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, the Vikings experience approximately 4 to 5 hours of uninterrupted rest. It's time to finish just after the midnight solar nadir, when the night is at its deepest and the cold is at its most intense. This would ensure that the rising sun doesn't catch them dozing, as that could be seen as a waste of precious daylight hours, but more importantly, it allows them to take advantage of the physiological bounty of early night sleep. Modern electroencephalogram or EEG studies suggest that the first sleep of the night contains the greatest proportion of slow-wave sleep, or SWS. This is the deep restorative sleep that helps repair muscles, bolster immune function, and consolidate memories. No shame in surrender. Unlike our modern-day toss and turn fueled by guilt over unfinished work or worries about the morning ahead, the Vikings saw their first sleep as a sacred pause. It was essential maintenance for body and mind, shared serenity. Even the youngest children, insulated by the warmth of siblings, slipped into this profound state. Alongside elders and warriors, no one was exempt from the call of first sleep. Biological alert. As the proportion of SWS tapers off, bodies naturally drift toward lighter stages of sleep. This gentle rocking lulls Vikings without jarring alarms. It's a soft transition that prepares them for a new cycle of rest and recuperation. Time window. The period of wakefulness between sleeps lasts roughly 90 to 120 minutes. It's centered around midnight in winter, which aligns with today's concept of the circadian trough, a dip in alertness during the darkest hours of the night. During this time, Vikings might tend the flames, adding split wood or pine cones to keep the embers glowing and the room warm for the night. They might also take on small guard duties, quickly checking the lashings on the door and the outer fortifications to make sure all is secure against prowling wolves or rival clans. Looking to take advantage of a sleeping hall? Domestic tasks. Back inside, hands nimble with practice, mended sails by the flickering lantern light, wove baskets, or prepared simple herbal infusions to aid in sleep. Second sleep, though some might engage in these activities, others found solace in spiritual devotion. Under the vast expanse of the moonless sky, they whispered prayers to Odin, god of wisdom, for guidance and protection during their travels or their hunts. Brief offerings of mead to honor their ancestors and secure peaceful dreams were also common. Intimate confidences. With the world hushed and the darkness deep, couples might exchange hushed words, sharing secrets, dreams, and worries. Families, too, found comfort in the darkness, whispering hopes and fears to one another. The bonds of kinship were strengthened as they navigated the challenges of life together. Saga recitals. As the night deepened, some Vikings entertained themselves by reciting sagas, tales of heroic deeds and legendary figures. These stories weren't just for amusement, they were a way to reinforce identity and cultural bonds. The saga served as a link to the past, reminding the Vikings of their heritage and values. And by easing the mind away from the day's stresses, they were better able to drift off to sleep. No insomnia, stigma. If sleep didn't come easily, Vikings didn't fret. They saw this interlude as a gift, an opportunity for reflection, practical chores, or mild socializing. In a world where every hour was precious, they made the most of the time they had. And what's more, modern research has revealed that this interlude was also hormonally harmonious. A surge of prolactin, the hormone responsible for feelings of calmness, prepares the brain for the next restorative cycle. So as the Vikings slumbered on, their bodies and minds basked in the tranquility of the night. Nurtured by a rhythm that was as natural as the ebb and flow of the seasons, as primal as the beating of a heart, their secret to a peaceful night's rest lay not in the absence of wakefulness, but in the quiet wisdom of embracing the natural pauses that life offers. A good night's sleep is essential for health, happiness, and productivity. But what if I told you most people are getting it all wrong? Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking book that challenges conventional wisdom about rest, drawing from the fascinating sleep habits of the Vikings. Are you ready to turn back your biological clock and discover the secrets to better sleep? Let's dive in. Imagine this. You've just tucked yourself into bed, ready for a peaceful night's sleep, but instead of drifting off immediately, you find yourself tossing and turning for what feels like hours. Finally, exhaustion overtakes you, and you fall into a restless slumber. If this sounds like your typical sleep routine, don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, you're following a surprisingly common pattern known as first light sleep, a habit found across many cultures, including our very own. But what if there's a better way to rest? A method that can leave you feeling rejuvenated and ready to conquer the day. Enter return to rest, a sleep strategy employed by the Vikings that might just be the answer you've been seeking. After an hour or two of mindful tasks, the Norse returned to their benches for a second stretch of sleep, usually lasting until first light. This phase, often lighter and more dream-rich, primed their minds for the day ahead, creative, alert, and emotionally balanced. But why does this practice work so well? To answer that question, let's delve into the science behind return to rest. Our bodies have internal clocks known as circadian rhythms that regulate sleep-wake cycles and other essential functions. Research shows that these rhythms include a natural lull in the middle of the night, a leftover from our pre-industrial heritage, when humans slept intermittently in sync with the natural world. During this time, the body produces more prolactin, a hormone that promotes relaxation and reduces stress, making it easier to fall asleep. But that's not all. By splitting their sleep into two segments, the Vikings took advantage of another powerful biological rhythm. In the Arctic-adjacent latitudes where they lived, the sun would dip below the horizon for 16 hours each winter day, creating a long stretch of darkness. To cope with this, our Viking ancestors evolved to split their night's rest into two sleeps, each lasting about 8 hours, separated by a break of equal length. This pattern allowed them to sustain their energy reserves and stave off fatigue, a feat that has been echoed by various cultures throughout history. In today's world, we often force ourselves to adhere to a single block of sleep, typically between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., regardless of our individual needs and schedules. But this approach can lead to sleep deprivation and a host of associated problems. By contrast, the Vikings recognized sleep as a flexible continuum, allowing for both a period of deep restoration and a mindful pause in the middle of the night. This practice not only helped them overcome the challenges of their environment, but also allowed for a balance of physical and mental restoration, fostering creativity and emotional resilience. Today, we're still fighting the same battle against fatigue, and while we may not live in a world of Vikings anymore, their approach to rest offers a compelling solution to modern problems. The beauty of the Vikings' segmented sleep pattern lies in its simplicity and adaptability. By embracing a similar approach, we can take control of our rest and reap the benefits of both deep, restorative sleep and a refreshed mind. So why not try it for yourself? Give yourself permission to rest when your body calls for it and allow yourself to wake up naturally without an alarm. You might be surprised at how much more energized and focused you'll feel as a result. And here's the best part. There's no need to wait until next week to start reaping the benefits of better sleep. Start tonight. Set a reminder on your phone for around 10 or 11 p.m. to signal it time for your first sleep session. Then embrace the natural lull that occurs in the middle of the night as an opportunity for a quick burst of mindfulness. As you wake up from your first sleep, resist the urge to lie in bed, scrolling through social media or checking emails. Instead, use this time to reconnect with yourself. Reflect on your day, express gratitude for the experiences and people in your life, or even engage in some light stretching. If you're feeling creative, jot down your thoughts and ideas in a journal or sketch out a masterpiece. The possibilities are endless. This mindful break will not only help you make the most of your first sleep, but also set you up for a more productive and fulfilling day. So go ahead, give it a try, and experience the transformative power of a well-balanced rest. If you found this advice helpful, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. And for more insights into the world of sleep and productivity, subscribe for more updates. Thank you for watching, and sweet dreams.
Before the dawn of electric lights, our Viking ancestors across northern Europe and the Arctic perfected the art of engineered darkness. They achieved this through a series of small, seemingly insignificant techniques applied to every aspect of their home's design and daily routine. From thick earthen walls to carefully placed timbers, they banished both practicality and whimsy alike from their sacred spaces of slumber. For the Vikings, cultivating night was more than mere shelter from the elements. It was a deliberate choice to harness the power of darkness. I invite you to envision yourself stepping into one of their famed longhouses on a cold winter-esque night. You are greeted by a heavy scent of wood smoke and damp earth. The massive timbers of the roof frames soar overhead, forming a cavernous space framed by walls that rise over 3 meters in places. Your eyes strain to pierce the gloom, struggling to make out the forms of your fellow villagers gathered around the central hearth. The fire's embers glow faintly beneath the watchful gaze of a chieftain, whose weathered face bears witness to countless such nights. All around you, the air grows perceptibly colder as twilight deepens, yet a sense of peace prevails. The pale glow of the moon and stars offers but a feeble challenge to this sanctuary of night, painstakingly crafted by human hands. Let us now explore how they made this possible. Earthy fortress. Imagine standing before a typical Viking longhouse. Its imposing structure of interwoven branches and packed earth rising above you like a low, sprawling hill. The most common type of construction technique, known as a turf wall, consisted of layers of sod, large stone, and occasionally timber stacked together to form a barrier up to 60 centimeters thick. This massive wall served a dual purpose, providing insulation against the ever-present threat of biting winds while also blocking out unwanted illumination from the outside world. The dense layers of packed soil and vegetation formed an impenetrable barrier against curious eyes peering in from the darkness beyond. Even starlight struggled to penetrate this sturdy shield, promising those within absolute sanctuary from prying gazes and potential harm. Dual protection! As we venture deeper into the house, our attention is drawn to the substantial wooden beams framing the apex of the longhouse. Running along the ridgeline, these robust supports provided crucial structural stability to the entire framework without sacrificing precious interior space. Unlike contemporary European timber framing techniques, the posts and beams composing the Viking longhouse did not encroach upon the living area below. Instead, the heavy timbers were cleverly concealed overhead, permitting unfettered use of the floor space for domestic activities and storage. Moreover, the stout roof structure minimized the number of supporting pillars needed within the dwelling. While some buildings may have featured centrally placed columns, the vast majority of longhouses went pillar. This maximized the volume of interior space available to inhabitants and allowed for easy placement of furniture, livestock, and supplies without hindrance. After all, a pillar could inadvertently cast an unwanted pool of light or shadow during the day, or provide a candle with an unsightly perch after dark. Window strategy. Now let us turn our attention to the wall panels that decorated the interior of a Viking longhouse. Specifically, the slits designed to admit precious ventilation, typically measuring less than 15 centimeters across. These narrow openings effectively diffuse daylight during waking hours, while still affording a degree of privacy from prying eyes. At night, the same slits could be covered with oiled animal hide or translucent horn plates, transforming them into rudimentary window panes. These function to block out any ghostly moonlight or starlight, maintaining an uninterrupted embrace of darkness from the cosmos. Thanks to their ingenious application of readily available materials, Vikings succeeded in creating small, manageable light sources to illuminate interiors when desired, but equally importantly, preventing the intrusion of ambient radiance when sleep approached. Door design. Standing before the entrance of a typical Viking longhouse, you would find a door of solid wood planks hewn to fit tightly within deep recessed frames. This design ensured that even in the brightest daylight, no sliver of light could intrude upon the sanctity of the interior space. As night fell, the heavy doors were pulled tightly shut and secured against the wind, and any potential intruder. Often a secondary seal was employed in the form of leather strips or woven mats hung from the door, as lower edge to block out stray drafts and lingering illumination. This doubly fortified portal guaranteed that the sacred darkness within remained undisturbed by the outside world. Bacon Amber! As the evening deepened, a hush would fall over the household as the time for retiring drew near. The central fire, which had roared merrily throughout the day, banked low, pushing glowing coals beneath stone slabs or metal leads. This simple act of banking the fire not only limited upward heat and light, but also ensured that the mesmerizing glow emanating from the hearth did not intrude upon the sacred darkness required for peaceful slumber. Just a single smoldering ember left burning within a stone circle or tucked beneath. A woolen blanket sufficed to ward off encroaching dampness and chill without piercing the comfort and enveloping gloom. Through practices like these, Vikings cultivated an atmosphere conducive to rest. Secondary fire pits. In larger longhouses, a second smaller pit might be situated between the main hearth and the far wall. Here, a small fire could be kindled in the late evening hours for brief activities like storytelling or crafts without disturbing the subdued glow of the primary fire. However, once the stories concluded and crafting ceased, the secondary pit was allowed to dwindle, its final embers carefully stamped out to contribute to the overarching darkness, curtained niches in the heart of many Viking homes. Suspended from the heavy timbers of the roof frame with heavy wool hangings that served as curtain to cocoons around elevated sleeping platforms. These densely woven textiles acted as crucial light blockers during the long summer days when the sun climbed high overhead. By drawing the curtains tight, inhabitants could ensure their slumber remained undisturbed by intrusive daylight, allowing them to drift peacefully off to dreamland regardless of the season. Turf alcoves! Beyond the realm of classic longhouse design, some Viking dwellings incorporated innovative sleeping recesses carved directly into the earth-covered walls. These natural bunkers provided welcome darkness even during the height of summer, when the sun shone for nearly 24 hours. Within these turf-bound alcoves, residents could retreat and succumb to soothing slumber untouched by intrusive rays. Ember control. When the long nights of winter descended, lasting more than 16 hours, Viking families sometimes elected to start their hearths earlier in the evening. By tending the flames with care, they could bank heat below woven fire screens or heavy blankets, maintaining a gentle warmth throughout the night without reigniting bright, disruptive flames. Supplemental braziers. During the midnight interlude, some households supplemented their central hearth with portable iron braziers filled with glowing charcoal. These low-level braziers emitted soft, subdued lights sufficient to illuminate the room for nocturnal activities. Yet crucially, they could be easily extinguished when it was time to return to sleep. firelight advantage. Although not strictly an element of darkness cultivation, Vikings benefited from a fortunate quirk of nature. Campfires, simple tallow lamps and whale oil lanterns, produced light predominantly in long wavelength red and yellow hues. These wavelengths minimally impacted melatonin production, preserving the body's delicate sleep chemistry. In contrast, the short wavelength blue light emitted by modern LEDs and device screens floods our retinas and signals daytime alertness, suppressing melatonin for up to 3 hours. Melatonin surge. The absence of ambient light allowed the pineal gland to operate uninhibited, maximizing melatonin release. With nights often exceeding 12 hours, true blackness permitted the pituitary gland to signal the body to enter the deepest phases of sleep unimpeded. Circadian reset. Each evening, as sunlight faded and darkness blanketed the land, the absence of stray illumination provided a stark cue for inhabitants to reset their internal clocks. This daily ritual of circadian renewal allowed bodies to synchronize with the natural environment, bolstering restfulness, void-like serenity. Enveloped by pitch-black air, Vikings likely experienced a form of sensory deprivation that quieted the mind's incessant chatter, shielding it from the distracting flicker and shadow play of flame or lamplight. Safety signal. Darkness, carefully curated and devoid of celestial intruders, served as a trusted signal that potential threat, whether human or animal, had been kept at bay. This assured mental vigilance could relax its constant watchfulness. Night as ritual. The deliberate extinguishing of lights and sealing of windows constituted the final act of the day's ceremony, psychologically closing the door on the day's worries. This nightly ritual primed a mind for rest and helped surrender to slumber. Collective calm. In the hush of the night, with only the flickering glow of embers illuminating faces, household members nestled together in a sea of darkness, reaffirming bonds of trust and cohesion. The shared experience of surrendering to the night fostered feelings of security and unity. By applying all these principles in concert, Vikings succeeded in turning their humble dwellings into sanctuaries of absolute night, unspoiled by celestial light pollution or the ethereal glow of oil lamps. Their mastery of darkness stands as a powerful testament to the profound impact of light absence on the quality of rest. In a modern world awash in artificial illumination, reclaiming the tranquility of true blackness can unlock deeper, more rejuvenating sleep for all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with friends and family, and forget to subscribe so you never miss an exciting episode.
The sun bleeds over the horizon, staining the sky in hues of dying embers. As twilight deepens into ebony, the great Viking longhouse, a hive of industry and boisterous merriment during the day, slowly transforms into a tranquil chamber of quietude and collective rest. With the coming of night, its vast interior echoes with the soft snores of men, women, and children who here slept, not in solitary beds, but in an embrace of communal slumber. Sleeping arrangements among the Vikings were a testament to their resourcefulness, practicality, and deep sense of community. In their grand halls and modest longhouses, they devised methods to ensure warmth, security, and tranquility for all, even in the harshest of climates. This is part 4 in our series exploring the fascinating world of the Vikings. If you're new here, join our growing community of history enthusiasts. Now let's dive into the warm embrace of the Body Heat Collective. In the heart of the Nordic lands, where icy winds bit with the chill of winter's wrath, the concept of shared sleeping quarters was more than just a tradition. It was a necessity. Picture this: dozens of individuals, bound together by kinship or the ties of a community, huddling shoulder to shoulder on raised platforms. It might seem unusual to our modern sensibilities, but this practice wasn't merely a quirky custom. It was an ingenious adaptation to the unforgiving cold that defined their world. In the desolate expanse of the north, where temperatures plummeted to depths that could steal life itself, the combined warmth of many bodies became a lifeline. The sleeping platforms, often elevated to keep them above the frost-touched ground, were like microcosms of human warmth. Each person contributed their body heat to a communal pot, creating a living quilt that trapped precious heat beneath layers of straw, wool, and fur. But the benefits of this communal slumber went beyond mere physical warmth. The act of sleeping in such close proximity wove together threads of social solidarity, weaving a tapestry of interdependence and trust. In the collective warmth, There was a quiet understanding that each person's survival was intertwined with the well-being of the whole. It was a potent reminder that in the face of nature's harsh indifference, their strength lay in their unity. Yet this communal warmth was carefully orchestrated, a layered insulation against both the elements and the solitude of the night. Each platform bore a foundation of fresh straw, a natural insulator that provided a barrier against the cold seeping up from the ground. Over this thick wool, blankets were meticulously laid, forming a soft, warm surface upon which sleepers could rest. And finally, to complete the ensemble, animal pelts, whether from hardy sheep, sleek reindeer, or thick-furred bears, were carefully draped over the top, transforming the platform into a cozy nest. This multi-tiered assembly not only captured and recycled body warmth, but also ensured that even the coldest gusts of wind that dared to penetrate the longhouse's sturdy walls would be met with a formidable barrier before reaching the slumbering occupant. And then there was the matter of early warning. In an era before electronic security systems, the Vikings relied on an even more potent form of surveillance, a network of sleepers attuned to every creak and whisper within the longhouse. Any disturbance, whether the sniff of an inquisitive animal at the door or the distant footstep of a visitor on crisp snow, rippled through the sleepers, stirring them into a state of collective vigilance. This early warning system, born out of necessity and honed by centuries of experience, ensured that no threat went unnoticed. For the Vikings, the threat of intrusion was ever present. Their longhouses, while bastions of communal life, were also potential targets for marauders or wild animals seeking warmth. Yet they didn't need a dedicated guard to sound the alarm. The slightest hint of danger was enough to stir the slumbering community. An ear here, a nose twitching there, all were attuned to the symphony of sounds that resonated within the longhouse walls. This intricate network of vigilance, woven into the fabric of their daily lives, made the Viking longhouse not just a place of warmth and repose, but a fortress of shared awareness. No prowling enemy or curious beast could approach undetected. Every rustler, every whisper served as a message carried on the wind, reaching the ears of those who slept with one eye open, ready to face whatever the night might bring. And what of the slumbering warriors? Didn't the very notion of sleeping in such close quarters compromise their readiness to defend? But the Vikings, ever practical, had a solution for this potential quandary. Amongst the slumbering mass, short swords, axes, or spears were kept within arm's reach. Sometimes these weapons were strapped to belts beneath the layers of clothing, while at other times they leaned against walls or were placed in hooks at the head of each platform. This careful arrangement allowed warriors to slumber with a sense of security, knowing that if the need arose, they wouldn't have to grope in the darkness for their weapons. In the unlikely event of an attack, they could awake and defend without a moment's hesitation, their weapons already at hand. It was a testament to the practicality and preparedness that defined the Viking way of life. Even in the sanctity of sleep, they were ready to face whatever challenges might come their way, ensuring that their slumber, though shared, did not compromise their hard-won security. Yet perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Viking sleeping habits was the anxiety dissolved in the dim lamplight of the longhouse. As the flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls, there existed a pervasive sense of calm. It was a tranquility that defied the chilling grip of the Nordic nights. For the Vikings, sleeping in numbers wasn't just about warmth or safety. It was about dissolving the anxieties that often plagued solitary sleepers. In the shared hush of breathing bodies, there existed a lullaby of sorts, a gentle melody that eased the troubled waters of the mind. Modern sleep studies now confirm what the Vikings instinctively understood millennia ago. Humans, it seems, sleep more soundly when surrounded by trusted companions. The presence of others, particularly in the familiar and safe environment of their community, mitigated the primal fears that once haunted the darkness. For the Vikings, this communal slumber wasn't just a means of survival. It was a bridge between the waking world of perils and the nocturnal realm of dreams. Within the secure embrace of the longhouse, they could shed the weight of their worries, surrendering to the comforting rhythm of shared breaths and the silent promise of camaraderie. And then there was the emotional intimacy that bloomed in the darkness. In the quiet hours after sleep had embraced the majority, the longhouse took on a different atmosphere. The younger members of the household, the children, would often be roused from sleep and tucked away in alcoves around the longhouse. There they'd engage in hushed whispers, sharing stories, jokes, and secrets with a sense of abandon that only the very young can possess. Meanwhile, the elders, with the weight of years and wisdom etched on their faces, would engage in somber discussions, their voices low, their words measured. These could be about anything from the hunt of the day to matters of community import, decisions that would shape the lives of everyone around them, regardless of age, gender, or status. The Viking longhouse was a crucible of emotional intimacy. It was a place where the boundaries between public and private life blurred, replaced by a sense of shared responsibility and camaraderie. Here, under the watchful gaze of the night, the Vikings didn't just share their physical space, they shared their thoughts, their emotions, and their dreams, strengthening the bonds that held their communities together. Yet this communal slumber wasn't static, but a fluid arrangement influenced by a myriad of factors. Consider the importance of hierarchical placement. Within the longhouse, the chieftain and heads of households often claimed the premium spots closest to the hearth's residual warmth. This wasn't merely a matter of comfort, but a reflection of their status. Beneath them, other family members and trusted retainers were allocated spots further away, each position reflecting their social standing yet still part of the collective circle of warmth. Furthermore, the concept of curtained alcoves emerged as a practical yet ingenious solution. When privacy was needed, perhaps for newlyweds or honored guests, heavy wool hangings could be drawn to create intimate nooks without severing communal proximity. These partitions offered a balance between personal space and group solidarity, ensuring that the sanctity of the individual was respected while still being part of the larger whole. As the seasons shifted, so too did the sleeping arrangements. In the depths of winter, when the cold threatened to penetrate even the thickest furs, the longhouses drew tighter. Platforms were repositioned closer together, and extra blankets were added, forging a denser human matrix that beat back the deep freeze. On the other hand, during the milder summers, some members of the community, including children or livestock, might sleep in peripheral shelters, or even in the open air, easing the crowding within the heart of the longhouse, while still benefiting from its protective embrace. Through this nightly tapestry of shared heat, mutual watchfulness, and emotional connection, the Vikings converted vulnerability into strength. Their longhouses stood not only as physical fortresses, but as sanctuaries of communal rest, where each heartbeat echoed reassurance and every breath whispered safety. What do you find most intriguing about Viking sleeping habits? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to join our community for more journeys through time. Thanks for watching. When we think of Viking beds, we often picture bare wooden platforms strewn with animal skins. But this common conception couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, Viking beds were sophisticated feats of design, engineering, and craftsmanship. They offered support, warmth, breathability, and even hygiene, all with readily available natural materials. In today's video, we'll unpack how Vikings achieved comfort without springs, foam, or fancy fabrics. We'll uncover innovative details like elevated platforms, textured surfaces, layered fillings, and modular constructions. You'll see how Vikings wove textiles, crafted fiber cushions, and integrated natural elements to create surprisingly contemporary sleep systems. From humble beginnings, they built havens of ergonomic support, health, and sustainability. So settle in as we explore how Vikings solved problems that modern makers are still trying to tackle. Let's start with the foundation of any Viking bed, the platform. While early Scandinavian burials occasionally feature simple plank beds, most full-size Viking beds followed a similar robust construction. Solid elevation. Platforms were built of sturdy timber beams, typically oak or pine, split into planks and stacked about half a meter off the ground. This modest lift had practical benefits. It kept sleepers securely above damp earth during floods and snows, while allowing cool air to flow underneath. The raised base prevented mold and rot, extending the life of precious wood resources. Though basic, this elevation enabled posture and breathing while satisfying a deep human need, separating ourselves physically and symbolically from the ground. Subtle inclination. Craftsmen also subtly inclined the bed bases upward toward the wall, elevating the head by a few centimeters. This tilt may seem insignificant, but it had profound effects. It encouraged better blood circulation, minimized nighttime acid reflux, and even aided respiration. Modern beds advertise these features as breakthroughs, yet Vikings achieved them centuries ago through keen observation and experience. On the surface, such inclines may appear arbitrary, but they reflect a culture attuned to the subtleties of daily life. The gentle slope optimized comfort without radically altering familiar routines. Rather than discarding traditional practices, Viking craftsmen refined them, imbuing the mundane with care. Resilient spring. Upon the solid yet unyielding platform went the resilient spring, one of the key components of a Viking bed. But rather than today's metal coils or synthetic foams, Vikings utilized freshly harvested rye or oat straw, loosely packed into woven sacks or laid directly on the platform. The straw provided a surprisingly responsive yet forgiving surface. Natural loft. The hollow stalks offered a subtle loft, distributing weight evenly and returning to its shape each morning. Despite lacking a uniform internal structure, the straw core conformed to the contours of sleepers while still offering support. This balancing act resulted in a remarkably comfortable surface. Breathable base. Equally crucial was the straw's natural breathability. The hollow stalks allowed moisture to escape, keeping bedding dry and reducing mildew. In damp Nordic climates, this was vital for hygiene and health. Each strand played a part, creating a surprisingly sensitive and supportive sleep surface. From the sturdiest beam to the tiniest straw, every element contributed to the whole, reflecting an intricate understanding of natural materials. Such knowledge enabled Vikings to thrive in challenging environments by harnessing, not conquering, the forces of nature. Adaptive warmth. Above the springy straw core, Vikings draped thick fleeces to create a luxurious yet functional sleep surface. Often these came from local sheep breeds, like the sturdy Norwegian Luster or the hardy Shetland sheep, adapted to cooler climates. By folding and pinning the fleeces to the platform, craftspeople created a warm envelope for sleepers. Though seemingly simple, this step maximized comfort and efficiency. Insulating buffer. The wool served as an insulating buffer between the body and the colder, damper layers below. When temperatures plummeted, this helped maintain a stable, comfortable, sleeping environment. But wool's versatility allowed for customization. During milder nights, blankets could be folded back or removed entirely, striking a balance between warmth and airflow. Such adaptability proved essential across variable Nordic seasons. Thermoregulation. Wool's crimped fibers trapped air, holding heat close, when cold yet wicking away excess moisture and heat during milder nights. This dual action provided exceptional thermal regulation, making wool ideal for fluctuating climates. To further enhance warmth, some households secured woolen blankets with wooden bed rails, ensuring drafts couldn't intrude. Such practical adaptations made beds havens of comfort and hygiene throughout harsh winters. Allergen control. While animal skins might seem like a rudimentary addition, they played a crucial role in Viking beds. The practice of draping pelts over the wool helped mitigate allergens. Skins from animals like bear, fox, or reindeer added a plush, temperature-regulating topcoat. Dense guard hairs. Their dense guard hairs blocked wind chill, while the softer underfur offered a sumptuous cushion. For households with limited resources, a single pelt sufficed as a blanket and mattress in one. Showcasing luxury layered. Households with means often added tan pelts from bear, fox, or reindeer. These hides provided a plush, temperature-regulating top. The dense guard hairs blocked wind chill, while the softer underfur offered a sumptuous cushion. When combined with wool, the skin's natural oils formed a protective barrier, repelling moisture and bacteria. Even if humidity seeped through the wool, the leather absorbed it, keeping sleepers dry. This layering system provided a stable microclimate, balancing insulation and breathability for optimal comfort. Firm fiber cushions. Rather than lofty feathers, Vikings crafted firm fiber cushions of wool, feathers, or moss within leather pouch. This ensured consistent loft and firmness. Unlike today's foam pillows prone to fluff collapse, the dense stuffing resisted compression, maintaining shape through years of use. Spinal neutrality. Well-crafted cushions provided stable elevation without excessive softness, supporting the cervical curve. This reduced neck strain and promoted restful alignment throughout the night. Moreover, replacing worn-out cores prevented sagging or tilting, ensuring the bed platform remained level. Each element, from the sturdiest timber to the tiniest feather, contributed to the overall comfort and longevity of the bed. This holistic approach extended the bed's useful life while enhancing hygiene. Clean materials. Unlike today's synthetic foams or chemical-laden fabrics, Norse bedding relied on natural, biodegradable, and hypoallergenic materials. This is a major reason why archaeological sites rarely reveal grossly soiled or vermin-infested bedding, demonstrating the efficacy of natural materials in resisting allergens and pests. While modern conveniences have altered our relationship to sleep, ancient techniques hold valuable insights. Viking beds integrated mindfulness, ergonomics, and material science in ways that resonate today. Features like adjustable elevations, breathable surfaces, and natural temperature regulation anticipated modern innovations. Rather than discarding tradition, Viking craftsmen iterated on practices passed down through generations, imbuing the everyday with care. Through this lens, beds transformed from mere resting places to havens of ergonomic support. By embracing the tactile intelligence of straw, wool, and fur, these ancient craftsmen solved problems that modern makers still grapple with. They balanced comfort, hygiene, durability, and sustainability, inviting us to reevaluate the relationship between tradition and progress. As we navigate an era of relentless change, Viking beds offer a timeless perspective on enduring needs and values. In a world fixated on novelty, they remind us that wisdom often lies in time-tested methods. The intricate knowledge embedded in Viking craftsmanship challenges us to re-examine the marriage of form and function. Their legacy invites us to find beauty in the everyday, comfort in the familiar, and sustainability in the. What if the key to peaceful slumber lay not in potions or pills, but in the very plants that calmed the turbulent seas? Imagine a world where sleeplessness didn't steal your nights and where dreams didn't turn into nightmares. What if ancient wisdom held the secret to unlocking such tranquility? Before the dawn of modern pharmaceuticals, the Vikings, renowned for their strength and ferocity, relied on the healing touch of nature to soothe their weary minds and bodies. Their sagas tell tales of healers who navigated the dense forests and windswept coasts of their homeland, seeking out the flora with calming properties. They weren't just warriors. They were keen observers of the natural world, learning which plants brought solace to animals and which could heal a friend's ailment. And it wasn't just about brute force. If a warrior was troubled by anxious thoughts that kept him awake, he would turn to these same folk for help. Today, we delve into the secrets of these natural sleep remedies and reveal how the Vikings brewed a peaceful night of sleep from the bounty of their environment. Long before pharmacy shelves held hypnotic solutions, join us as we uncover the surprising world of Viking sleep aids and explore how nature's bounty can still offer us a restful night's sleep. But first, let's get to the science behind it all. The active compound found in the valerian root is called valerianic acids. This group of compounds found only in valerian root works similarly to the neurotransmitter GABA in the brain. GABA is known for its sleep-promoting effects. It helps the brain relax and calm down, making it easier to fall asleep. Now here's the interesting part. The valerianic acid doesn't directly stimulate GABA receptors, but instead enhances the activity of GABA, leading to increased drowsiness. In simpler terms, it's like turning up the volume on your brain's natural sleepiness signal. This mechanism is what makes valerian root an effective sleep aid without the significant side effects or dependency issues associated with many prescription So next time you hear someone dismissing herbal remedies as just old wives' tales, remember the Vikings and their trusted valerian root, a testament to the efficacy of nature's simple solutions. Now let's talk about the preparation method. Our ancestors didn't have fancy equipment, but they knew the basics of creating a good brew. The process started with gathering the valerian root, which was often found growing wild in meadows and along roadsides. Yes, roadsides, not just because it's convenient, but because they were often rich in minerals and other nutrients that the plant loved. These roots were then carefully dug up, cleaned and chopped. Next came the crucial step of drying the roots, which was essential for preserving them and intensifying their flavor and potency. This was probably done by hanging them upside down in a well-ventilated area, until they were brittle and easily crumbled. Once dried, the roots were crushed into a fine powder using a mortar and pestle or a specialized grinding stone. This ensured that the active compounds were readily available for extraction during the brewing process. To make the final product, the powdered root was combined with boiling water in a ratio of about 1 teaspoon of root per cup of water. This mixture was then allowed to steep for a period of 10 to 15 minutes, after which it was strained and the leftover liquid was consumed. This liquid was not only a sleep aid, but also had a slightly bitter taste with some earthy undertones. Alternatively, the root could be infused into a low-alcohol mead, resulting in a slightly bitter drink with sedative properties. This approach not only made use of the medicinal qualities of valerian root, but also reflected the Vikings' deep connection to their natural surroundings. They weren't just brewing a sleeping draft, they were tapping into the wisdom of the land itself. This respect for nature, as healing power, is a legacy that continues to influence our understanding of herbal medicine even today. Our journey through the Vikings' world of sleep aids doesn't end with valerian root. Hops, a common ingredient in beer, also played a significant role in their nighttime rituals. But hold on a minute, we all know that a nice cold beer can wake you up, right? Well, you're thinking about the wrong kind of hops. This is a special variety used for its calming properties, not for flavoring your brew. Back in the day, the Vikings used the whole hop cone, not just the tiny granules you find in beer. They understood that these cones contained powerful compounds that could help you unwind after a long day. So when it was time for bed, they wouldn't just pour themselves a glass of hoppy ale. Instead, they would place loose hops cones in small linen sacks. This way they could warm them gently by the embers without burning them. The gentle heat helped release the soporific aromas and compounds from the hops, making it easier for them to drift off to sleep. This method wasn't just about masking the unpleasantness of insomnia, it was a conscious choice to embrace the natural rhythms of life. It was a way to honor the cycle of day and night, of activity and rest. By harnessing the power of plants, the Vikings didn't just treat insomnia. They integrated it into their daily lives, finding balance and harmony in the natural order of things. Now, let's dive into the fascinating synergy between valerian and hops. You see, while valerian root helps you relax and unwind, hops takes things a step further. It eases the pain and tension that might be keeping you awake, allowing you to drift off to sleep more easily. So it's like having a personal sleep coach, guiding you through the process of falling asleep. But it gets even better. Hops also helps prevent nightmares, ensuring that you wake up feeling refreshed and ready to face the day. No more tossing and turning, no more anxious thoughts keeping you up. Just a peaceful night's sleep followed by a rejuvenating morning. Isn't that what we all dream of? Speaking of dreams, do you ever have those vivid dreams that feel more like a movie than just a dream? Well, turns out that's exactly what the Vikings were experiencing with their nighttime routine. Thanks to the perfect blend of valerian and hops, they were entering a realm of slumber, where their minds roamed free and their spirits soared high. These weren't just any dreams. They were filled with adventure, wonder, and even a bit of magic. Now let's talk about chamomile. Archaeologists have uncovered the secrets of this beloved flower by analyzing its presence in Norse refuse pits. What they've discovered is nothing short of fascinating. During the Viking Age, chamomile was more than just a pretty face. Its presence in refuse pits suggests that it was widely used and valued for its soothing properties. This wasn't just a random choice. The Vikings weren't brewing chamomile tea just for the heck of it. They had a deeper understanding of its benefits. They knew that sipping this sweet golden infusion could help alleviate minor aches and pains, helping them relax and let go of the day's tension. This practice wasn't just about treating ailments. It was a way to honor the natural cycles of the body. It was a recognition that rest and rejuvenation were as important as action and conquest. But the Vikings weren't limited to just one sleep aid. They understood the importance of variety and balance. Just like a well-crafted mead, they combined different herbs and plants to create unique blends that catered to their specific needs. Sometimes they mixed valerian root with the leaves of the wood-betony plant. This herb was believed to help soothe the nervous system and calm the mind. Other times they might infuse their evening drinks with extracts from St. John's wort, known for its mood-boosting properties. This added a layer of emotional balance, ensuring that their nights were not only restful, but also emotionally nourishing. It was a holistic approach to wellness, addressing not just the physical aspects of sleep, but also the emotional and psychological elements. They weren't just trying to fall asleep. They were aiming for a state of complete relaxation and inner peace. The story of Viking sleep practices reveals a deep-rooted respect for nature and an understanding of the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. Their methods weren't just about treating insomnia. They were about embracing the natural rhythms of life. From valerian root to hops, from wood-betony to St. John's wort, each plant had its role to play in creating a symphony of rest and rejuvenation. And at the heart of this natural lullaby was a respect for the delicate balance of the natural world and the profound connection between humans and the environment. The flickering lamplight danced in the amber depths of Egbert's mug, illuminating a face etched with years of both mirth and toil. As the evening's chill deepened, he took another sip of his goldenrod honeyed tea, a small smile gracing his lips. Soon, it would be time for bed, and he'd tuck in next to his wife, Astrid, their 2 young children nestled between them. After a day of fishing and trading at the local fair, the gentle warmth of their longhouse was a welcome sight, a sanctuary where the worries of the day seemed to melt away like frost under the midday sun. Yet sleep, like every blessing, was not without its challenges. For Egbert, the creeping darkness brought with it a growing unease, a fear that kept him from the solace of slumber. But tonight, like many others, he was prepared. You see, the path to dreamland was a ritual in itself, one carefully cultivated by his wife, Astrid, who held the role of healer in their small community. Each evening before twilight's embrace, Astrid would gather sprigs of lime blossoms from the riverside groves, their delicate fragrance, a promise of tranquility to come. These she would steep into fragrant teas, each cup holding a potent elixir of relaxation. The entire family partook, their mugs steamy islands, in the gathering gloom, sharing stories and laughter until the comforting drowsiness descended upon them. Then, with sleepy smiles and grateful murmurs, they would retreat to bed, leaving the day's troubles behind. For Astrid, this nightly ritual wasn't just about lulling her family to sleep. It was about weaving a protective shield against the anxieties that plagued her husband. The lime blossoms, rich in flavonoids and volatile oils, were a mild tranquilizer, ideal for sensitive sleepers like Egbert. She knew the delicate balance of nature's pharmacy, the perfect infusion of herbs, to ease tension without lulling them into a deep, dreamless sleep. Their nightly routine was a testament to this knowledge, a tradition passed down through generations of women in her lineage. In the heart of Scandinavia, where the sun dipped early and the nights were long, the air grew heavy with the scent of wood smoke and herbal remedies. Inside the longhouse, the family's breath mingled with the aroma of steeping herbs, a heady mix of floral and woody notes that spoke of ancient wisdom and natural healing. This was the world of the Vikings, a society often characterized by its fierce warriors and intrepid explorers, yet whose everyday life was deeply intertwined with the holistic practices of herbalism and folk medicine. The use of herbs for medicinal purposes was widespread, with women playing a pivotal role in cultivating, harvesting, and drying these natural remedies. On designated midsummer days, they would don flower crowns and gather in fields and riverbanks, their laughter echoing through the valleys as they collected fragrant herbs. Back in the longhouse, the air thick with the scent of chamomile and valerian, these dried herbs would steep into soothing teas, their warmth spreading not just through the body, but also through the community, binding families and friends in acts of healing and camaraderie. But the Vikings' olfactory impact didn't end with their choice of herbs. Their methods of preparation and consumption were equally thoughtful. Take, for instance, their love for aromatic burns, a practice that went beyond simple incense burning. For the Vikings, it was a way to drive out negative energies, purify spaces, and create a sense of calm and well-being. They believed that certain scents could ward off evil spirits and bring good luck. And so before an important event, say a healing ritual or a community gathering, they would burn special herbs like lavender and hops, filling their homes and sacred spaces with the soothing vapors of tranquility. Each herb had its own significance. Lavender, with its delicate purple hues, was associated with purity and healing. Its scent, a complex blend of floral and woody notes, was believed to have magical properties that could soothe the troubled mind and relax the body. Hops, on the other hand, were known for their bitter aroma and sedative effects. These humble flowers, when burned, released a calming essence that could ease anxiety and promote restful sleep. The combination of lavender and hops created a unique olfactory experience, a heady mix of floral tranquility and grounding stability that resonated with the Vikings' deep connection to nature. As the fire crackled and popped, its flames dancing in mesmerizing patterns, the room was enveloped in a peaceful hush. In this tranquil atmosphere, the family shared stories, sang songs, and prayed to their gods, their voices blending with the scent of burning herbs to create a powerful sense of community and belonging. It was a testament to the profound impact that scent had on their lives, shaping not just their mood, but also their sense of identity and connection. So while the Vikings may be remembered for their daring raids and epic sagas, let us not forget their intimate moments of peace and healing. For in those quiet corners of their lives, they offer a timeless lesson in the power of herbs and the magic of scent. For centuries, Viking men have been lauded as ferocious warriors, pillaging across Europe with their bare chests and horned helmets. But what if we told you these legendary Norsemen had a secret weapon, one that helped them transform from fearsome fighters into peaceful sleepers? What if it was you brute force, but a strategic culinary approach that truly made the Viking Age great? Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of Viking nutrition and exploring how their ingenious manipulation of food and eating times facilitated not just a hearty existence, but also a good night's rest. Forget meat halls and battle axes. This is a feast for the mind and your plate. It was common knowledge among Norse families that the timing, composition, and amount of food consumed played a crucial role in dictating the quality of their sleep. This was no mere superstition, but rather an understanding born from years of experience living in tune with nature's rhythms. Now let's pull up a chair and dig into this hearty topic. Mid-morning day meal. When the sun began its ascent, casting away the shadows of night, the Vikings would rise and greet the day with an invigorating ritual. After a night of fasting, their bodies would be primed for the day ahead, ready to replenish their energy stores with a hearty breakfast. Their day meal, as it was called, would typically consist of porridge made from barley or oats, accompanied by a generous helping of fish or preserved meats such as dried and salted cod or smoked and pickled herring. These provisions were not just substantial, they were also packed with nutrients, offering the necessary fuel to keep both body and mind sharp throughout the morning's tasks. The inclusion of fish in particular was a stroke of genius. Fish like herring and salmon are renowned for their high tryptophan content. Tryptophan, an amino acid that serves as the building block for serotonin and subsequently melatonin, a key hormone in our sleep-wake cycle. By starting their day with these aquatic treasures, the Vikings were ensuring that their bodies had a head start on producing the chemicals that would usher them into dreamland later in the day. Late afternoon, second meal. As the sun began its descent and the day's chores drew to a close, the Vikings would look forward to their second and largest meal of the day. This evening repast was typically served around 4 to 5 in the afternoon, providing ample time before the onset of darkness for digestion. The menu for this meal was as diverse as the landscapes they inhabited. It might feature a succulent roast of venison or pork complemented by the earthy flavors of root vegetables, like turnips and carrots. Or perhaps it could be a hearty fish stew with chunks of salmon and cod mingled with barley and peas. Each dish was not only a celebration of the bounty of the land and sea, but also a thoughtful selection designed to optimize their physiology for an upcoming rest. The inclusion of legumes, like peas and beans, further enriched their meals with additional sources of. In addition, these ingredients brought along essential amino acids, like methionine and lysine, which when combined with the protein from meat or fish, formed a complete protein profile. This amino acid composition was crucial for the synthesis of neurotransmitters like serotonin and melatonin, underscoring the Vikings' deep understanding of how food could directly influence their sleep patterns. Fasting period. Between their late afternoon meal and the evening, there existed a sacred 3 to 4 hour gap. During this time, the Vikings abstained from consuming any food, allowing their bodies to fully digest the rich fare of their second meal. This period of fasting wasn't merely about restricting food intake, it was a strategic move aimed at enhancing the quality of their sleep. By keeping their stomachs empty for a few hours before bedtime, they allowed their bodies to finish the digestion process without any discomfort. This, in turn, prevented gastro-restive disturbances that could have otherwise disrupted their sleep. Moreover, this practice ensured that their blood sugar levels stabilized during this pre-sleep window. Stable glucose levels are a key component for achieving deep, slow-wave sleep, a phase of slumber vital for physical restoration and mental rejuvenation. This deliberate gap in their eating schedule was not a mere dietary quirk, but a testament to the Vikings' keen understanding of the intricate connection between their nightly meals and their sleep routine. Marine bounty. The seas surrounding Scandinavia were not just a source of sustenance for the Vikings, but also a rich pantry of sleep-inducing compounds. Creatures of the deep like herring, salmon, and cod swam into Viking feasts, bringing with them a bounty of tryptophan, an amino acid that plays a pivotal role in the production of serotonin and melatonin, to hormones integral to regulating sleep. These fish weren't just part of the Vikings' diet, they were an active ingredient in their sleep recipe. Modern research has highlighted the significance of these marine foods in promoting better sleep. The omega-3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA found abundantly in these fish can significantly enhance sleep quality, particularly REM sleep. They achieve this by reducing inflammation in the brain and balancing neurotransmitters critical for sleep regulation. By incorporating these fatty fish into their regular diet, the Vikings essentially tapped into a natural reservoir of sleep-enhancing compounds, underlining their intuitive understanding of the link between diet and restfulness. Legumes and game. Venison, pork, perhaps a side of berries, and a generous portion of peas or beans. Imagine this rustic scene from a typical Viking evening. Such a tableau wasn't just a feast for the eyes, but also a blend of flavors designed to ensure a peaceful night's sleep. Game meats like venison and pork were not just a staple of the Viking diet, they were also a rich source of tryptophan. This essential amino acid acts as a precursor to serotonin and melatonin, hormones essential for orchestrating the body's sleep-wake cycle. The inclusion of legumes like peas and beans added another layer to this nutritional strategy. Legumes, like game meats, are excellent sources of tryptophan. Moreover, they bring along other essential amino acids like methionine and lysine, forming a complete amino acid profile when paired with meat. This blend of ingredients ensured that the Vikings were providing their bodies with the necessary components to synthesize neurotransmitters that promote relaxation and sleep. It was a practical application of ancient nutritional wisdom, proving that a balanced meal could indeed pave the way to a peaceful slumber. Complex carbohydrates. Grains like barley and oats didn't just grace the Vikings' tables, they were fundamental to their nightly rituals. These humble grains, often in the form of porridge or flatbreads, constituted a significant part of their diet. And their consumption wasn't arbitrary. It was deeply rooted in an understanding of how carbohydrates could influence their sleep. Barley and oats are rich in complex carbohydrates, which serve as a sustained source of energy. This gradual release of energy was particularly beneficial in the evening, as it facilitated the production of insulin. Insulin's role in this context was not just to regulate blood sugar, but also to facilitate the uptake of tryptophan into the brain. By having a moderate amount of barley or oats before bed, the Vikings were essentially priming their bodies to absorb more a key precursor to sleep-inducing hormones like serotonin and melatonin. This simple yet effective strategy was a cornerstone of their nocturnal routine, transforming a common grain into a sleep-promoting ally. Root vegetables. The Viking larder wasn't just stocked with grains and meats, but also with a variety of root vegetables. From the humble turnip to the earthy carrot and the sweet parsnip, these subterranean treasures were more than just a dietary staple. They were a strategic component of their sleep regimen. These root vegetables, while being rich in fiber and micronutrients, also contained a compound that's key to sleep regulation, tryptophan. By including these veggies in their meals, the Vikings were unknowingly boosting the tryptophan content of their diet. Additionally, these vegetables played a role in stabilizing blood sugar levels, preventing those sudden spikes and dips that could disrupt sleep. The fiber content also aided in gastric comfort, preventing nighttime awakenings due to this simple, yet deeply ingrained practice of including root vegetables was not just a culinary habit, but a traditional wisdom passed down through generations, ensuring a peaceful night's rest in harmony with nature's rhythm. Healthy fats. The Viking diet wasn't solely focused on terrestrial fare. They recognized the bounty of the sea and incorporated a variety of marine mammals and fish into their meals. These aquatic denizens, from seals and whales to herring and salmon, were not just sources of protein, but also packed with healthy fats. These fats, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, played a crucial role in promoting restful sleep. Modern studies have illuminated the connection between omega-3 south and improved sleep quality. These essential fatty acids were linked to increased levels of serotonin and melatonin, the hormones that govern our sleep-wake cycles. By including these marine creatures in their diet, the Vikings were tapping into a natural reservoir of sleep-enhancing compounds. Furthermore, these healthy fats contributed to overall bodily nourishment, ensuring that the Vikings were not just well-rested, but also physically robust, ready to face each new dawn with vigor. Animal fats. Beyond the lean meats, Viking cuisine included a generous helping of animal fats like tallow and lard. These seemingly simple ingredients were not just a source of long-lasting calories, but also played a significant role in sleep promotion. Animal fats are loaded with saturated and monounsaturated fatty acids. While their role in overall health is often debated, their contribution to sleep enhancement is undeniable. These fats aid in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin D and E, which are essential for hormonal homeostasis, including the hormones that regulate sleep. Moreover, the consumption of these fats could potentially promote feelings of fullness, indirectly aiding in the regulation of eating times and preventing late-night snacking. By incorporating these ubiquitous ingredients, the Vikings were ensuring not just a comforting meal, but also a stable hormonal environment conducive to peaceful slumber. As we draw the curtains on our exploration of the Viking diet, we hope we've managed to illuminate the fascinating link between their culinary choices and their sleep habits. These fierce warriors of old weren't just plunderers of distant lands, but also keen observers of nature's rhythms. Their manipulation of food, timing, composition, and even the ingredients themselves was not mere superstition, but a testament to their intimate understanding of the human body and its needs. In the heart of their feasting halls, and in the quiet of their nightly routines, the Vikings orchestrated a symphony of nutrition and rest, leaving us today with valuable insights into the age-old relationship between what we eat and how well we sleep. The air is thick with wood smoke and the rhythmic clang of hammer on iron. The men and women of our Viking village are going about their day, tending to their fields, their animals, their homes. Life here is hard, but it's also beautiful. And through it all, there's one thing that keeps them going: their love of a good story. Join us today as we explore what everyday life was like in a typical Viking village. What did they eat? What did they wear? And most importantly, how did they find time to relax in the midst of all that chaos? But before we dive into the world of Vikings, let me ask you a question. What do you think the average Viking weighed? Go ahead and make your best guess in the comments below. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the fascinating life of Vikings. Welcome to my channel. The sun hasn't even begun to crest over the horizon yet, but our village is already stirring. In the long, drawn-out days of summer, the sun can linger over the horizon for hours, casting the sky in hues of rose and amber. But even in the heart of winter, the day stretches long. Work must start early, if it's to be done at all. The farmers are up first, their day beginning with the first sliver of light. Their fields, spread out like a patchwork quilt across the undulating landscape, must be plowed, sown, and harvested. And though the soil is rich and fertile, the work is not easy. No sleek machines with roaring engines cut and sow here. Every grain is handled by hand, from the heaviest of grains to the lightest of seeds. This is a workout that tests the mettle of even the strongest Viking. It's a test they meet with stoic determination etched on their faces, bent double under the weight of their labors, their muscles, strain, and sweat, building not just endurance, but exceptional upper body strength and cardiovascular capacity. Even as the years pass, they are never truly idle. There are always crops to tend, livestock to care for, and the threat of wild animals or raiders looms ever present. In this world, there's no room for sleep. Each moment not spent working is spent training for the next challenge, and these men and women are equal to it. They take pride in their strength and stamina, seeing them not just as necessities, but as hallmarks of their resilience and capability. When the time comes for battle or trade, they are more than ready. But the sea calls to some more insistently than others. For those whose fates are tied to the ocean, the call is irresistible. Our Viking sailors, drawn to the endless horizon, leave the plows and the furrows for now. For them, life is measured in the rhythm of the waves. Their vessels, sleek and swift, are an extension of their own muscled arms. These ships are more than just means of transport. They are their livelihood, their freedom, their weapon. To row a coastal raiding vessel or a longship requires an entirely different kind of strength and stamina. Hours upon hours are spent rowing against the biting winds of the North Sea or the churning currents of the fjords. Arms pull and legs churn, creating a mesmerizing dance of human power. To navigate the treacherous waters, the rowers must develop a near-hypnotic synchronized stroke, a testament to both brute strength and cardiovascular endurance. Whether they're charting a course to new lands or returning home laden with plunder, these Vikings are a study in controlled power and breathless determination. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the village, our farmers are taking a well-earned break. Their work is never truly done, but there are moments when the crops can wait. They gather round the communal hearth, sharing stories and laughter, their voices weaving tales of daring adventures or mythical beasts. These are the sagas that have been passed down through generations, keeping the history and culture of their people alive. The younger members of the community listen wide-eyed, soaking in the words of their elders. For these stories aren't just entertainment. They're a way of life, a connection to the past. But life in the Viking world isn't all about brawn. Our blacksmith is a master of his craft, and his work is a testament to the beauty that can be found in strength. With deft hands and a keen eye, he hammers red-hot iron into plowshares and swords, each strike a precise burst of energy. His tools are extensions of his will, shaping the raw materials of nature into objects of utility and beauty. The rhythmic clang of his hammer is a familiar sound in a village, a soundtrack to daily life. And every piece he creates is a small victory, a triumph of human ingenuity over the raw materials of the earth. Meanwhile, our shipbuilders are hard at work on a new vessel. Their day begins with the felling of trees, each tree a giant to be wrestled to the ground. Once felled, the logs are dragged to the waterfront where they will be shaped and fitted together like pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle. It's a labor-intensive process, requiring nothing short of superhuman strength and stamina. Yet the shipbuilders work tirelessly, driven by the promise of a new vessel that will carry men and goods across the seas. Theirs is a labor of love and necessity, ensuring that their village remains connected to the wider world. And then there's Astrid. She tends to her sheave, herding them across the rugged pastureland. It's a steady, low-intensity workout that tests her lower body strength and cardiovascular endurance. The wind whips through her hair, carrying the sweet scent of wildflowers and the tang of the sea. As she walks, her eyes scan the horizon, always alert for signs of danger. But for now, all is well. The sheep are calm and the sun is warm on her back. This is a peaceful interlude in her day, a moment to connect with nature and her own inner strength. But even in this idyllic setting, danger can strike without warning. A storm gathers on the horizon, its dark clouds blotting out the sun. Our villagers respond with practiced efficiency. Men, women, and children work together to secure their boats, repair damaged roofs, and reinforce their doors against the coming wind and rain. The storm hits with the force of a battering ram, testing the strength and resilience of their homes and their spirits. But they stand firm, drawing strength from their community and their Viking heritage. The storm passes as quickly as it arrived, leaving behind a sky washed, clean, and a world sparkling with newfound life. Our villagers emerge from their homes, shaken but unbroken. They survey the damage, helping their neighbors wherever they can and sharing what little they have. In the aftermath of the storm, there's a sense of unity, a recognition of their shared strength and resilience. They have weathered the storm together, and they will rebuild together. As the days grow shorter and the nights colder, our villagers turn their thoughts to the upcoming Yule festival. The fields are harvested, the livestock brought in for the winter, and the chill of winter seeps into the bones of the land. Work still must be done. Of course, fires need tending, meals preparing, tools maintained. And inside the warm glow of their homes, the women weave tapestries and mend fishing nets, their nimble fingers flying in a blur of motion. The men sharpen tools and make repairs, the rhythmic scrape of whetstone on steel filling the air. Even in the heart of winter, life goes on, but it slows down. The urgency of summer's long days fades into the hushed quiet of the snowy landscape. The fields lie dormant under a blanket of white, the trees stand bare and stark against the leaden sky, and the people turn their attention inward, finding solace in the warmth of their homes and the company of their loved ones. Yet, even in the depths of winter, life finds a way to endure. In the flickering firelight, our villagers share stories, their voices weaving tales that have echoed through generations. They speak of legendary heroes, mythical creatures, and ancient wisdom, keeping their cultural heritage alive. The younger members of the community listen intently, learning not only about their past, but also about the values and traditions that shape their lives. As the night deepens, the conversation turns to lighter fare. Jokes are cracked, songs are sung, and laughter echoes through the room, momentarily chasing away the chill of the winter night. The old longhouse, with its towering roof and crackling fire, becomes a sanctuary, a place where the darkness of winter is banished, and the light of human companionship reigns supreme. And so the days pass, each one a unique blend of hard work, cultural preservation, and community bonding. In this isolated corner of the Viking world, life is a continuous cycle of toil and respite, of struggle and camaraderie. Through it all, our villagers find a strange sort of peace, a quiet contentment born of hard-won resilience and the unbreakable bonds of their community. The hardships of winter may test their strength, but the warmth of human connection sustains them. And as the long nights draw on, they find comfort in the stories, songs, and laughter that fill their homes, knowing that they are not alone in the face of the winter's chill. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the daily life of Vikings. We hope you enjoyed learning about their customs, traditions, and way of life. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more fascinating historical tales. We've got plenty more adventures in store for you. So until next time, happy adventuring. Oh, and remember, you'll never truly be lost as long as you have the strength to keep moving forward. The sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the longhouse. Inside, a roaring fire dances in the hearth, reflecting in the tired but satisfied eyes of a day's work done. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke and something else, something herbal and soothing, a balm of ancient knowledge passed down through generations, easing aching muscles and weariness of the day. This isn't just a scene from a history book. It's a glimpse into the heart of Viking culture, where life was a continuous interplay of intense physical exertion and deliberate recovery. A world where rest wasn't an afterthought, but a cornerstone of their existence. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Viking sleeping habits, uncovering the secrets behind their seemingly paradoxical lifestyle. How did they balance such grueling activities with what was probably some of the deepest sleep in the known world? What rituals did they perform to ensure they were always ready for the next dawn? And most importantly, how can we in our modern context learn from their ways? Join me on this journey as we explore the Viking world and discover the blueprint for a more balanced and restful life. We often think of Vikings as fierce warriors or intrepid explorers, and rightfully so. Their legacy is etched in tales of bravery and adventure. But let's peel back one more layer. Let's talk about their prowess in bed. Well, not that kind of bed, though there's plenty of that in their sagas. No, we're talking about the bed of the natural world, the place where fatigue meets the sky, where the pull of gravity slows and the rhythm of the cosmos envelops us. We're talking about sleep. You see, being a Viking wasn't just about raiding, trading, or ruling. It was also about enduring. It was about surviving the harsh realities of life in Scandinavia, and doing so with a vigor that's almost alien to us today. They did this through a remarkable equilibrium, a balancing act between pushing the limits of human endurance and honoring the necessity of deep restorative rest. This might seem like a contradiction, but it was the very essence of Viking life. And at the heart of this paradox lies the secret to their legendary stamina, their ability to endure and recover, to push beyond perceived limitations and bounce back stronger than before. And it all starts with understanding the Viking approach to sleep. So let us dive deeper into the world of the Vikings and see what their sleep habits can teach us about resilience, recovery, and living a life of both challenge and balance. We begin with the catalyst of fatigue. Now, when we think of fatigue, we often picture weakness, exhaustion, and vulnerability. However, in the context of Viking culture, fatigue was seen as a messenger, a herald of a different state, a prelude to a much deeper form of energy. You see, for the Vikings, fatigue wasn't just a state of physical tiredness. It was a signpost directing them to the realm of recuperation and restoration. When the workday ended or a battle concluded, fatigue didn't mean retreat. It meant transition. It signaled a shift from the arena of activity to the sanctuary of repose. They understood that true strength lay not in perpetual motion, but in a dynamic interplay between exertion and relaxation. So how did they leverage this fatigue? How did they transform it into a catalyst for renewal? First, they embraced it. They didn't try to fight against the natural inclination to rest. Instead, they recognized it as a valuable signal from their body. Then they acted upon it. They allowed themselves to unwind, to relax, and to drift into the comforting embrace of sleep. But their approach to sleep wasn't passive. It was purposeful. It wasn't just about resting the body. It was about rejuvenating the spirit, preparing them not just for the next day, but for a lifetime of adventures. As twilight settled and the day's work drew to a close, the Vikings would engage in activities designed to usher in sleep. These weren't just mundane tasks. They were carefully orchestrated routines that bridged the gap between wakefulness and slumber. One such ritual involved bathing. It wasn't just about cleansing the body, it was about inducing relaxation. The warmth of the water would relax the muscles, easing the aches and pains of the day's labor. This was particularly important for the Vikings who engaged in physically demanding activities. Whether it was the rough and tumble of combat or the strenuous labor of daily life, the bath wasn't just a place of cleansing, it was a portal to tranquility. The heat from the water would dilate their blood vessels, promoting better circulation and aiding in the removal of lactic acid and other waste products that had accumulated in their muscles during the day. As activities, this process not only helped to relieve soreness, but also prepared their bodies for a deeper, more restorative sleep. Beyond the physical benefits, these rituals also had a psychological dimension. The act of bathing could signal the end of the day's activities, providing a clear boundary between work and rest. It was a time to unwind, to let go of the day's stresses, and to prepare both the body and mind for sleep. Another crucial aspect of their pre-sleep rituals was the consumption of food. For the Vikings, nutrition wasn't just about sustenance. It was about fueling their bodies for both activity and rest. After a long day of work or battle, they would eat hearty, nutritious meals that would satisfy their hunger and provide the necessary energy for the night's sleep. These meals weren't just about quantity, they were also about quality. The Vikings favored foods that were rich in nutrients that aid in relaxation and sleep, such as foods containing tryptophan, which helps produce serotonin and melatonin, two vital compounds for a peaceful night's rest. In a way, their meals functioned as a bridge between wakefulness and sleep, anchoring them to the rhythms of the natural world. The act of sharing these meals, especially in the communal setting of a long, also had a social and psychological significance. Eating together wasn't just about sharing food, it was about sharing stories, about bonding, and about creating a sense of unity. It was a way to reinforce social ties, which in turn contributed to the overall well-being of the community, and it was likely that these shared meals, filled with the warmth of companionship and good food, further aided in the transition to sleep. Let's talk about the art of pacing oneself, a lesson that seems counterintuitive in our high-performance, always-on world. Yet it was a cornerstone of Viking culture. They understood that true endurance wasn't about pushing to the breaking point, but about pacing oneself to sustain performance over the long haul. Vikings weren't immune to the allure of pushing harder, faster, stronger. After all, their society was built on the foundation of daring expeditions, intense battles, and feats of physical prowess. However, they recognized that such exploits were unsustainable without a keen awareness of their limits. They learned to read their bodies, to recognize the subtle signs of fatigue and strain, and to respond accordingly. This wasn't just a matter of common sense, it was a testament to their deep connection with the natural world. Just as a farmer tends to his crops, knowing that the soil needs rest between plantings, or a hunter observes animal behavior to predict its movements, Vikings understood the importance of cycles in human endurance. They knew that pushing too hard and too long led to diminishing returns, both in physical prowess and mental acuity. So they developed a system of checks and balances, a way of measuring intensity with equal regard for rest and recovery. This system wasn't rigid. It wasn't a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, it was adaptable, responsive, and deeply ingrained in their cultural fabric. It was a way of life that ensured that the Vikings' fire burned brightly and steadily, never flaring too high and never It is easy to look at the Vikings and their incredible feats and assume that they were larger than life, invincible even, but the reality was far more nuanced. They understood the fragility of the human frame, the delicate balance between exertion and recovery. Their system of checks and balances wasn't just a pragmatic necessity. It was a philosophy that celebrated the beauty of balance. It was a recognition that true strength didn't lie in relentless pursuit, but in the harmony of action and repose. It was a testament to their deep connection with the natural world and their keen understanding of its rhythms and cycles. It's a lesson we can all learn from in our own lives, regardless of whether we're charting the seas or navigating the complexities of daily living. In the heart of the Viking world, where the harsh realities of survival met the spirit of adventure, there existed a culture that seemed to thrive on extremes, a society that pushed the boundaries of endurance while cherishing the sanctity of rest. They found the secret to thriving in the face of adversity. They sought solace in nature's embrace, be it in the comforting warmth of geothermal baths or in the invigorating chill of a bracing plunge. They understood that rest wasn't the enemy of activity, but its partner in a perpetual dance of balance. In the tapestry of Viking life, every thread, from the coarsest fiber to the finest braid, spoke of a civilization attuned to the rhythms of the earth, the skies, and their own body. As we draw the curtains on this exploration into the Viking world, let us carry forward the echoes of their wisdom. May their ethos of balanced living resonate within us, reminding us that in the grand theater of life, the encore is earned not just through relentless effort, but through thoughtful Just as the Vikings harmoniously wove their active pursuits with moments of tranquility, may we find our equilibrium, embracing the challenges of life with vigor while cherishing the solace of rest. Their legacy isn't just a tale of valor and conquest, but a testament to the power of balance in human existence. It is a legacy we can all learn from and build upon as we navigate our own journeys in this world. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this episode, please share your thoughts and stay tuned for more. Until then, rest well and dream of Vikings. In the tapestry of human history, few threads are as captivating as those that unravel the enigma of sleep in the Viking Age. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the vast Nordic landscapes in hues of twilight, these intrepid seafarers and explorers retreated to their cozy hearths. There, nestled amongst the flickering shadows, they embarked on journeys of a different kind, voyages into the realm of dreams. Today, we peel back the layers of time to unveil how the Vikings, through their unique blend of culture, rituals, and philosophy, redefined our understanding of nocturnal rest. From sagas to amulets, every piece of their rich heritage holds a clue, and as we follow these clues, we'll see how their world, far from being cloaked in slumber, was actually illuminated by a deep connection with the mystical, the historical, and the communal. Hearthside Sagas, a tapestry of sound and story. Picture this. The year is 850 AD. The day has been long and fruitful, filled with the chores of daily life. Now, as twilight settles in, your family gathers around the hearth, not just for warmth, but for an age-old tradition. Your father begins to recite sagas, stories that have been passed down through generations, tales of gods and heroes, of battles and voyages. These sagas are more than entertainment. They are a way of life, a cultural cornerstone. The rhythmic cadence of his voice weaves a spell, gradually drawing you into a state of tranquil receptiveness. Why does this matter? Because in the Viking Age, the evening saga session wasn't just a family bonding moment. It was a carefully cultivated ritual, designed to ease the transition from wakefulness to sleep. It was a form of cognitive decompression, a term sleep therapists use today for activities that help the mind shift from the day's problems to nighttime rest. The Vikings, though living in a vastly different time, understood this concept instinctively. Their nightly sagas acted as a bridge between two worlds, the one of daylight challenges and the one of dreamtime tranquility. Cognitive shift, the art of transition. You might wonder, why didn't the Vikings simply drift off to sleep after a day of strenuous activity? The answer lies in the nature of Viking society and their approach to rest. Unlike some cultures, where sleep might have been seen as a passive escape from responsibilities, for the Vikings, it was a time for reflection, storytelling, and spiritual communion. By sharing tales of legendary figures, like Ragnar Lothbrok, or the gods of the Norse pantheon, the Vikings weren't just unwinding. They were reinforcing their cultural identity and values. This process of emotional and mental preparation wasn't a luxury for them. It was a necessity. The sagas, along with other rituals, created a mental space where rest could bloom. Emotional resonance, mending worries and weaving community. Now, let's shift our perspective slightly. Imagine you are Astrid, a member of Ivar's community. Your day has been filled with household duties and the occasional worry about the safety of your loved ones out on the seas. As you gather with the community at the edge of the village, the setting sun casting long shadows around you, you listen to the saga teller, but this evening, a particular tale resonates with your own concerns. The story of a hero who faces and overcomes seemingly insurmountable challenges fills you with newfound strength. These sagas weren't just stories, they were emotional anchors. They offered solutions to problems that plagued everyday Viking life. In a world where danger lurked at every turn, tales of bravery provided solace. By immersing themselves in these narratives, the Vikings weren't merely escaping their worries. They were confronting them in a safe, communal space. The saga became a mirror, reflecting their own lives, offering guidance and comfort. And this shared experience of confronting fears and finding hope through stories became an integral part of Viking culture. Nightly verses from Havamál. Embracing the wisdom of words, the Havamál, a collection of Old Norse poems, offers a profound insight into the Viking mindset. Among its verses are gems of wisdom that speak directly to the topic of sleep. Let's consider one such saying: "The unwise man is ever awake, worrying through the night. When morning comes, his burdens remain unchanged." This proverb, embedded in the fabric of Norse culture, encapsulates a balanced view of sleep. On one hand, it cautions against the folly of chasing sleep obsessively, suggesting that a wise Viking understood the value of rest, but didn't deify it. At the same time, it warns against the pitfalls of neglecting sleep, reminding the listener of the consequences of losing precious hours of rest. For the Vikings, sleep wasn't something to be avoided or chased relentlessly. It was a natural rhythm of life to be embraced. Dream as omens, interpreting the whispers of the night for the Vikings. The realm of dreams was not merely a place of slumber. It was a bridge to the divine. Their beliefs held that certain dreams carried messages from the gods or their ancestors. Imagine, for instance, a Viking warrior preparing for an imminent battle. Before facing his foes in the morning, he might recall a dream where ancestral spirits urge him to act with courage and honor. Such dreams weren't just prophetic, they were revered as guides, offering valuable insights that could sway decisions with life-altering consequences. In a world where the line between the earthly and the otherworldly was thin, the Vikings didn't just sleep. They communed with the echoes of the past, seeking wisdom for the challenges ahead. Dream journals. While physical evidence of Viking dream journals is scarce, the sagas often mention runes and symbols carved on wood or stone tablets. These carvings weren't just decorative, they were believed to aid in the recall of dreams, which were often seen as cryptic messages or warnings. The act of recording these dreams, even if only in temporary forms, suggests an early form of dream work, a practice now popularized by sleep experts to enhance sleep quality and self-understanding. By inscribing the symbols and runes of their dreams, the Vikings may have been attempting to decode the whispers of the night, turning potential anxieties into sources of insight. Reduced anxiety. Embracing dreams, not fearing them. For the Vikings, the value placed on dreams served a crucial purpose: reducing anxiety. Instead of seeing dreams, especially nightmares, as harbingers of doom or disturbance, they were viewed as potential sources of guidance or wisdom. This reframing of dreams not only promoted better sleep, but also offered a unique perspective on when a nightmare did occur. Instead of dismissing it as a meaningless jolt from the subconscious, the Vikings sought to understand its message. They might have used the dream to identify underlying tensions or concerns that needed attention in their waking lives. This approach to dream interpretation turned what could have been a fearful experience into a pathway to personal growth. Protective amulets and runes. Finding solace in symbols. Imagine, if you will, a young Viking lad named Bjorn preparing for bed. His parents, mindful of their son's occasional fear of the dark or the creatures of folklore, have placed a small amulet under his pillow. This unassuming object isn't just a toy, it's a symbol of protection, perhaps a simple carving of Thor's hammer, a representation of power and security in a world where darkness brought both beauty and danger. This practice, common in Viking culture, reflects a deep-rooted desire for safety and well-being, a longing that resonates with the experiences of many children today. For the Vikings, these amulets and runes weren't just talismans warding off evil spirits or mythical beasts. They were psychological anchors, grounding their wearers in a sense of security. Sleep studies today show that feeling safe is a primary factor in achieving deep, restful sleep. And while the Vikings' beliefs were rooted in mythology, the effect on their minds and bodies was very real. By carrying these symbols of protection, they transformed the uncertainties of the night into moments of peace. Philosophy of word, embracing fate. Relieving anxieties. One of the most fascinating aspects of Viking culture is their philosophy of word, a concept that has often been misinterpreted as mere fatalism. Word, in essence, was a recognition of the interplay between free will and fate. Rather than being wholly deterministic, the Vikings believed that multiple outcomes were always possible. What set them apart was their ability to discern the most advantageous path forward. Consider a Viking sailor preparing for a voyage. Their understanding of the weather patterns, star navigation, and the unpredictability of the sea meant that they knew dangers lay ahead. However, instead of succumbing to paralyzed anxiety, they channeled their energy into planning and preparation. They saw the potential storms, but they also honed their skills to navigate through them. Similarly, when making crucial decisions, Vikings wouldn't merely flip the reins of their lives over to fate. They would weigh options, consult with elders, and make informed choices. Their rituals, including those surrounding sleep, were seen as ways to align with the flow of word, not to hinder it. Balanced vigilance. Trusting the ritual, facing the dawn, despite their philosophy of word. The Vikings weren't passive in the face of potential threats. They took proactive steps to ensure their safety. Communities established robust social structures to collectively guard against external dangers. Within their ranks, vigilance wasn't seen as a sign of mistrust, but as a testament to their commitment to each other's well-being. And at night, before surrendering to the embrace of Morpheus, they performed their rituals with utmost sincerity, trusting that these acts would serve as their bulwarks of protection. Their approach to security can be compared to the layered defenses of an onion, each layer offering a different kind of protection. Their sagas, their amulets, their rituals, and their beliefs all combined to create a shield against the uncertainties of the night. For the Vikings, sleep wasn't a surrender. It was a strategic retreat, a time to regroup and prepare for the dawn. As we conclude our journey into the heart of Viking slumber, we're left with more than just historical insights. We're presented with a philosophy of life, death, and everything in between. The Vikings, through their unique lens of word, remind us of the balance that exists between fate and free will, between fear and courage, between darkness and light. And in the quiet moments of our own nights, we might do well to echo their wisdom, embracing the mysteries of dreams, the comfort of community, and the unwavering trust in the rhythm of life. When we think of Viking culture, images of fearsome warriors pillaging across Europe come to mind. But what about their everyday lives? How did Vikings sleep? A question seemingly at odds with their fierce reputation. You might be surprised to learn that, while tales of Viking raids and battles are legendary, the sagas also depict their everyday experiences, including their approach to sleep. In fact, the sagas suggest that Vikings took their sleep seriously, viewing it as both a privilege and a cornerstone of their well-being. In today's episode, we delve into how Vikings slept, exploring their fascinating rituals and beliefs surrounding rest. While much of history is silent on the specifics of daily life, Viking culture left behind an abundance of stories known as sagas, which offer a glimpse into their everyday lives. These tales, passed down through generations, provide insight into their customs, values, and even their bedtime routines. One striking aspect of Viking culture highlighted in the sagas is their belief that sleep should be earned. This concept is evident in numerous stories where heroes are plagued by guilt or shame, preventing them from resting until they have made amends. For example, in the saga of Burton ID, the protagonist, Gorm the Old, is haunted by nightmares after mistreating a poor widow. He is only able to find peace and sleep soundly again once he has made restitution, demonstrating the importance placed on ethical conduct to achieve a restful state. This idea aligns with modern psychological research, which suggests that unresolved moral conflicts can indeed interfere with sleep, causing disturbances and unsettling dreams. Another interesting aspect revealed through the sagas is the significance of resolving disputes before nightfall. Stories often depict characters who make apologies, swear oaths, or perform rituals to purge themselves of wrongdoing before the sun sets. This practice mirrors contemporary findings that indicate lingering moral distress can disrupt one's sleep, leading to fragmented rest. The sagas, therefore, imply that addressing ethical issues before bedtime was a way to ensure a peaceful night's sleep, a practice consistent with modern recommendations to clear our minds of emotional burdens for better rest. Furthermore, The sagas illustrate that Vikings were deeply embedded in their communities and were highly attuned to the group's psychological well. They understood that individual transgressions could mar the collective conscience. Therefore, it was essential to address personal mistakes, not just for one's own peace of mind, but also to maintain harmony within the social fabric. This concept is echoed in modern theories on group dynamics, which emphasize that a shared sense of morality and accountability is crucial for the mental health of any community. As winter nights grew long and dark, Vikings found solace in the promise of festivals like Yule and the solstice. These celebrations, embedded in pre-Christian Germanic traditions, offered a chance to momentarily banish the gloom. Sagas frequently mention how anticipation of these festivals, with their feasts, rituals, and nightward ceremonies, could lift spirits even in the bleakest of months. This finding is supported by modern studies on seasonal affective disorder, which show that having something to look forward to can significantly improve mental health during darker seasons. The sagas also reveal an important aspect of Viking psychology, their ability to find joy in anticipation. Even the most arduous tasks, like a long sea voyage, were less daunting when viewed through the lens of a forthcoming celebration. The prospect of camaraderie, feasting, and merriment helped endure hardships, showcasing a remarkable capacity for mental resilience in the face of physical challenges. This phenomenon is well documented in modern psychology, where the anticipation of rewards plays a vital role in motivation and to further enhance their mental fortitude during the darkest days. Vikings held cycle rituals to mark the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. These ceremonies, though shrouded in pre-Christian beliefs, seem to have had a profound impact on the Viking psyche. Sagas tell of how the return of the sun, even in the smallest increments, was cause for celebration. The rituals served to remind the Vikings that darkness was not eternal, offering a powerful message of resilience and hope. This practice is mirrored in modern psychology, where understanding the cyclical nature of challenges is seen as a key to overcoming adversity. The idea that difficult periods are temporary can be a powerful motivator, helping individuals endure and recover. Viking society, however, wasn't just about individual resilience. It was also fundamentally a communal experience, and the sagas beautifully capture this aspect of their culture. Central to their ethos was the idea that no person, however powerful, was exempt from addressing their actions. Everyone, from the lowest peasant to the mightiest Jarl, was accountable to the community. This practice of collective accountability is now recognized in modern psychology as a critical component of emotional resilience. In a supportive community, individuals feel safer to take risks, knowing they have a network to catch them if they fall. This safety net allows for more open emotional expression and problem solving, fostering greater mental well. In a world where Vikings were constantly striving for excellence in all aspects of their lives, it's easy to assume that sleep too would be treated as a battle to be conquered, a mere 8 hours to be snatched from the jaws of darkness and used as leverage in the pursuit of a glorious existence. Yet the sagas tell a different tale. They reveal that for Vikings, sleep was never a performance, a metric of productivity to be optimized, or a competition to be won. Instead, it was seen as a gift to be received, a reward to be earned, and a right to be cherished. The sagas demonstrate that Vikings had flexible yet consistent rituals around sleep. They understood that the length of one's first or second sleep could vary based on the demands of the season or individual needs. There was no rigid adherence to a set number of hours, nor was there shame associated with a longer or shorter sleep. This attitude is strikingly similar to modern recommendations for sleep hygiene, which emphasize the importance of personalized sleep schedules and the need to avoid stigmatizing those who require more or less sleep. This progressive outlook on sleep suggests that Vikings were attuned to their bodies and understood the need for flexibility and self-compassion when it came to rest. Today, we often grapple with the paradox of our hyper-awareness of sleep's importance, coupled with the simultaneous pressure to prioritize work, productivity, and achievement. This creates a breeding ground for sleep anxiety, a condition where the very awareness of insufficient sleep becomes a source of additional stress, fueling a downward spiral. Vikings, however, didn't frame sleep as a task or a battle, but as a part of life's natural cycles, a philosophy that modern psychology increasingly endorses. The key, according to sleep experts, lies in integrating sleep into the fabric of daily life rather than viewing it as a separate activity to be squeezed in. This approach eliminates the pressure of a ticking clock, allowing for a more natural, less anxious sleep routine. By weaving these practices into their daily lives, Vikings turned sleep into an ally, a trusted companion in their journey through the ups and downs of existence. Their approach to rest serves as a reminder in our fast-paced modern world that sometimes the most productive thing we can do is simply rest. In conclusion, Viking approaches to sleep reveal a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices that not only challenge conventional historical narratives, but also offer valuable insights into cultivating better sleep habits today. Their emphasis on the interconnectedness of ethics, sleep, and mental well-being resonates deeply with modern psychological findings. Moreover, their ability to find joy in anticipation, their respect for the natural cycles of life, and their communal approach to emotional resilience provide a refreshing perspective on how to navigate the challenges of our modern world. As we continue to grapple with sleep issues and mental health concerns in our fast-paced contemporary society, the lessons from Viking culture offer a beacon guiding us towards a more balanced, mindful, and ultimately restful existence. In today's society, sleep is often viewed as a necessary cost of living, a trade-off we make between the demands of our waking lives and the need for rest. But the Viking approach challenges this narrative, suggesting that sleep is not a sacrifice, but a reward, a privilege to be earned and cherished. Their wisdom serves as a potent reminder that true strength lies not just in conquering external challenges, but also in embracing the natural rhythms of life, including the necessity for rest and rejuvenation. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time and sleep. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting us. Your support allows us to continue producing engaging content that brings history to life. And if you have any thoughts, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to share them below. We value your input and would love to hear from you. Until next time, sleep well and rest easy, knowing that, even in the darkest of nights, rest is a victory worth fighting for. The Viking sleep ecosystem, like countless aspects of their culture, has unraveled over the centuries, frayed by the insistent pull of progress and the subtle creep of cultural shifts. Yet buried in this transformation lies potent lessons for our modern plight, a roadmap to understanding and potentially reclaiming restorative rest. Join us as we excavate these forgotten practices from the annals of history, each offering a unique lens through which to view our contemporary sleep struggles. We'll weave these ancient wisdoms with modern scientific insights to illuminate pathways towards deeper, more rejuvenating sleep, because while the world of sleep science is light years away from the sagas of old, the fundamentals of rest remain timeless. Lesson 1. The dwindling darkness. Back in the pre-industrial age, the nights were dark, truly dark. And the Vikings, like many other cultures, had their evenings filled with candlelight and firelight. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the glow of tallow lamps or candles replaced daylight, casting soft shadows that danced on the walls of longhouses. But it wasn't just about ambient. This gradual transition from light to dark was a gentle cue for the body, a signal that it was time to wind down. Fast forward to today. Our world is awash in electric light, whether it's the stark glare of LEDs or the soft glow of computer screens. For over 80% of us city dwellers, there isn't a moment in the night when we are enveloped in true darkness. This prolonged exposure to artificial light interferes with our body's internal clock, suppressing the production of the sleep hormone melatonin and fragmenting our rest. Even on cloudy nights, the ambient light seeping in through windows is enough to disrupt our sleep patterns. So how can we recapture this lost darkness? Simple yet effective strategies can make a world of difference. Invest in blackout curtains that can dim out the streetlights and switch off all electronics, including at least 2 hours before bedtime. Avoid the blue light emitted from screens, which is particularly adept at suppressing melatonin. If you live in a brightly lit area, consider wearing a sleep mask to ensure complete darkness. By recreating this pitch-black environment, you'll be honoring your body's innate circadian rhythm, paving the way for deeper, more restful sleep. Remember, it's in the absence of light that our bodies can truly prepare for slumber. Lesson 2. The fragmenting night. In the Viking ethos, sleep wasn't a singular 8-hour event. It was a natural biphasic pattern, a morning slumber, followed by a lighter sleep phase later in the evening. These patterns allowed for a natural division of sleep, catering to the body's different needs at various points in the day. The first sleep phase provided the deep restorative rest needed for healing and rejuvenation. The evening one offered a lighter, more dream-filled sleep, often interspersed with moments of wakefulness. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution and its impact on our sleep. The rhythmic pulse of factory whistles and the demand for standardized work shifts necessitated an unbroken block of 8 hours of sleep at night. This drastic shift was a far cry from our natural biphasic rhythm. And over time, this societal pressure has morphed into a personal struggle for many of us. Today, insomnia and sleep debt have become hallmarks of industrial societies. The pressure to conform to an unnatural standard of sleep leaves many of us battling against our own biology. The relentless ticking of the clock can transform bedtime into a stressful ordeal, especially when we're confronted with an unflattering mirror. Looking back at the Viking approach, it offers a compelling alternative. Embracing a biphasic sleep schedule can help realign our bodies with our natural rhythms. This could mean an early evening nap to complement nighttime sleep or incorporating gentle wakeful interludes in the middle of the night. Instead of fighting the natural inclination to wake up, one could use this time for quiet reflection, stretching, or even reading. Upon waking in the middle of the night, instead of lying there anxiously, one could rise, stretch and partake in quiet activities until it's time for a restful return to bed. By honoring this innate segmented rhythm, we can reclaim a more natural and wholesome approach to sleep. It's about embracing flexibility, not rigidity, in our pursuit of rest. Lesson 3. The waning we. Back in the Viking Age, sleep wasn't a solitary pursuit. It was a communal experience. Families slept together in the same longhouses or bedrooms, cocooned off in woven alcoves for privacy. This arrangement wasn't just about practicality. It provided a comforting sense of security and connection. The warmth of shared body heat, the soft murmurs of family members, and the soothing rhythm of communal breathing created a psychologically safe haven. However, as society progressed, so did our sleeping arrangements. Today, the bedroom has evolved into a private sanctuary, a space where most of us sleep alone. While this shift brought about a sense of privacy, it also ushered in feelings of isolation, heightened vulnerability, and a potential for heightened anxiety, especially in the dark hours before bed. This stark contrast between then and now raises a pertinent question. Can recreating a sense of social connectedness before bed help alleviate our modern sleep struggles? Indeed, fostering a sense of community in the hours leading up to sleep can significantly enhance restfulness. Family storytelling, sharing laughter, and recounting tales of the day can establish a comforting bedtime routine. Engaging in group relaxation practices, breathing exercises, or meditation together can soothe both the mind and body, preparing them for sleep. Even listening to calming music or nature sounds as a family can induce a relaxing state conducive to better sleep. The key here is to honor the innate human need for connection, a need that the Viking communal sleep practices so beautifully encapsulate. By weaving social interaction into our pre-sleep routines, we can tap into a powerful tool for enhancing our sleep quality. It's about transforming the potentially isolating act of going to bed into a shared experience, thereby diminishing the starkness of modern solitary sleeping. In conclusion, the Viking sleep ecosystem holds up a mirror to our modern-day sleep struggles. Their experiences, challenges, and adaptations offer a timeless wisdom that resonates deeply with our contemporary quest for better rest. From the encroachment of artificial light to the pressures of a rigid, 8-hour sleep schedule, from the waning sense of community in our bedrooms, each aspect of their lives mirrors a facet of our own. Yet in their struggles, they also found solutions that are surprisingly compatible with modern scientific understanding. The Vikings, though separated by centuries, inadvertently provide us with a roadmap to healthier sleep. Can we, like our Viking forefathers, adapt to the changing tides of progress without sacrificing our Can we reclaim the natural rhythms of our sleep? Can we weave technology and tradition into a harmonious blend that fosters rest? The answers lie in the echoes of the past, waiting for us to listen, adapt, and ultimately heal. If you find this exploration of Viking wisdom insightful, don't hesitate to dive deeper into our content. There's a treasure trove of knowledge waiting to guide you towards a more balanced, restful life. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, may your nights be filled with the restorative power of true darkness, the freedom of flexible rest, and the solace of shared tranquility. This is one of 13 chapters from a book called Sleep Smarter, and this chapter is about synthetic bedding. So like most people, I used to think that good bedding was anything that felt soft, looked good, and didn't feel too expensive. This led to a bed dressed in a foam mattress, polyester sheets, down alternative comforter, and pillows, all coated in chemical fire retardants. Not exactly what my ancestors would have had in mind when they envisioned me lounging in my Viking longship. But here we are in the 21st century, where everything in our beds and on our beds has been stripped of its natural state. For example, down feathers are taken from ducks or geese, often raised on mass hatcheries, then treated with chemicals to make them fluffy and antimicrobial. In fact, there's no part of my old bedding that was truly natural. Then I started thinking about what I put on my skin throughout the day. Even my jeans were made of synthetic fibers. So I began exploring what it would look like if I reverted back to basics, like the Vikings, who used animal skins for clothing and bedding, except today, we have advanced technology to make natural materials more comfortable. So I found bedding made of cotton, which is naturally antimicrobial and hypoallergenic, though it wrinkles easily. I discovered wool, which retains heat, wicks moisture, and has a natural flame retardant, but can be itchy. I came across natural latex, which is breathable, durable, and comfortable, but off-gassing can be an issue. I experimented with layering pillows and blankets, so I could add or subtract layers depending on the season. I even tried putting a wool blanket between my mattress and my sheet to dampen the heat from the foam mattress. My bed became a modular system just like the one the Vikings used, only now with more choices and customization. At first it was uncomfortable, like when you switch from a soft to firm mattress, but slowly it started to grow on me. I could actually feel my skin breathing, moving with me through the night. It was a strange sensation that brought me back to life instead of feeling like I was enveloped in plastic. In fact, that word, enveloped, really describes the difference between natural and synthetic bedding. With synthetics, you feel completely enveloped, cocooned off from the world. With natural bedding, you still feel connected to the outside world. You're aware of the temperature changing, the breeze rustling through your window. It's a subtle difference, yet it brings up a larger point about how we VA medicalized sleep and turned it into a commodity. Today's market brims with wearables, gadgets, apps, and pharmaceuticals promising to maximize or optimize your sleep. Pharmaceutical companies spend millions marketing sleep aids, while sleep clinics, run by medical professionals, offer treatments like CPAP machines to address every perceived sleep problem. And don't get me wrong, these interventions are necessary for some, but for many, they're a solution in search of a problem. What's more, tracking our sleep metrics can fuel performance anxiety, turning what should be a restful experience into another stressful performance to add to the list of things we're anxious about. It's time to reframe our relationship with sleep and detach from the sometimes harmful pursuit of sleep perfectionism. Accept sleep as the natural process it is. View it as a nightly adventure to be embraced, not a battle to be won or a score to be beat. When I learned to let go of my obsession with sleep numbers and the need to track and improve them, I stopped fixating on the times I failed to meet my own self-imposed standards. I noticed that the more I worried about falling asleep, the more I tossed and turned. My awareness of my breath and body relaxed. I drifted off to sleep more quickly and slept more soundly. With each passing night, I felt more at peace with my sleep. Some nights I wake up and wonder, did I really sleep that well? Then I check the Ring app and see that I slept 8 hours without interruption. Other nights, I wake up groggy and aching and find that I slept poorly. But those numbers don't define me. They're simply data points on a graph, not a measure of my worth. We've allowed sleep to become a performance, because our culture worships productivity and achievement. But in doing so, we've lost something essential. We've forgotten that sleep is a natural process, not a quantifiable achievement. If we can tune out the noise, tune out the pressure to perform, we can tune into something much deeper, a connection to our natural rhythms and patterns, to the ebb and flow of our inner world. When we do, we'll discover that we're not broken. We just need to stop trying to fix sleep and start trying to understand it. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this talk, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to go deeper into the science of sleep, I encourage you to read more from this course. Thanks again, and sweet dreams. Modern action plan inspired by the Vikings to help you sleep better. We are going to talk about the Viking-inspired sleep revival. Darkness first. Black out your room. Bank lights at least 2 hours before bed. Modern life keeps us up too long with artificial light. This disrupts our inner clock, suppressing chemicals like melatonin that promote good sleep. Blackout curtains can completely mask this light and reset your internal clock. Failing that, use eye masks. Layer up. Our Viking ancestors slept on animal skins, on top of a mattress made of reeds or straw. Today, we have it way better, but we still need to pay attention to what we sleep on. Natural fiber mattresses and box springs can conform to the body while providing support. Furs or wool blankets can provide additional warmth without overheating. Look for pillows made of natural materials and choose a firm one that supports your neck. The communal calm. Create a nightly ritual with those you live with. Maybe a quick story time, a song, some gentle music, or even just focusing on your breath together. It's important to calm both mind and body before bed, and doing this alone isn't as effective as doing this together. So my wife and I will often do this before bed. The herbal allies. Preparing a calming infusion like chamomile or valerian during your midnight pause can help. Chamomile is known for its relaxing properties, while valerian is a more potent sleep herb. These are commonly available in tea form, or you can make your own infusion. If desired, drink from a soothing mug. Warm liquids raise your body temperature, which promotes relaxation and sleepiness. Timed meals. Vikings likely finished their evening meal around sunset and fasted through the night until breakfast. Fasting for 3 or more hours before bedtime can improve sleep quality and allows the body to burn off adrenaline and cortisol, promoting relaxation. Try eating your last snack or meal around late afternoon and allow plenty of time for digestion before lying down. Daily toil. The Vikings were an active bunch. They didn't have jobs that required sitting at a desk all day. They got a lot of exercise from their daily activities. Exercise can help you fall asleep faster and sleep more soundly. Try to get at least some of your daily movement outside in nature. At a minimum, try to get some daylight and fresh air each day. A balanced mindset. Don't go into this with the goal of optimizing your sleep. Just want to lie down and rest. Trying to fix your sleep with brute force doesn't work. Sometimes our brains don't want to sleep, so forcing it doesn't help. Acceptance is key. See rest as a seamless part of life to be cherished, not a problem to be solved. In conclusion, the Viking sleep protocol was not a product of scientific laboratories, but emerged organically from their total environment, their craft, their sense of community, and their philosophy of life. In today's world, light pollution, digital stress, and sedentary routines pull us away from our biological heritage. These ancestral lessons offer a holistic blueprint for reconnecting with our innate rhythms. True rest emerges not from force or frantic tracking, but from cultivating the natural conditions where sleep flows as effortlessly as breath. By weaving darkness, communal trust, environmental attunement, and balanced rituals into our lives, we can begin to reclaim the deeply restorative slumber that once powered the Norsemen's feats of exploration and endurance. In honoring these ancient practices, we may finally silence the modern cacophony of insomnia and rediscover night's ancient gift: profound, natural rejuvenation. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed researching it and putting it together for you. We have other videos here on YouTube related to sleep that you might enjoy as well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.